As Jesse gets my screen up and gets ready to record me, I was thinking about that song "In Between," and this is a story of that in between, that time while people were in the waiting. Waiting's tough. I mean, you read the Bible and it's story after story, one after the other, and yet in real life, sometimes our biggest things are can you put that up there on the back there for me, Jesse? Change that screen out. Thank you, buddy. Sometimes in life we think that things should be happening, but we're being cooked. We're being made ready. It's our time of preparation. We don't realize that because we like to have things going constantly. We like to be kept busy, because here's the problem: if we're sitting still on that couch and it's just us, thoughts start coming into our minds. Things we've let slide, things that we are uncomfortable thinking about. And so we distract ourselves with entertainment, with all kinds of different things. So we're going to talk about a parable that Jesus talked about. This is a deep parable. I don't know that I've ever taught on this one, so bear with me. This is such a deep parable. There's many levels to this. Much like some of the ones that we talked about in the past, there's a lot of levels going on here. It's not just a story about a wedding that's getting ready to happen. It's a story that has to be examined in the light of everything else that we know. And so we're going to try to do that, and very quickly. I'm really working on trying to make sure we get out at a regular time, and none of these 45-minute to 50-minute marathons that we've done in the past. So we're going to get started. It all starts by getting started. And we're going to start out in Matthew 13. It says, the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 bridesmaids who took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. The 5 who were foolish didn't take enough olive oil for their lamps, but the other 5 are wise enough to take along extra oil. Keep going. When the bridegroom was delayed, they all became drowsy and fell asleep. And at midnight, they were roused by the shout, "Look, the bridegroom is coming. Come out and meet him." And all the bridesmaids got up and prepared their lamps. And the 5 foolish ones asked the others, "Please give us some of your oil because our lamps are going out." Keep going. But the others replied, "We don't have enough for all of us. Go to a shop and buy some for yourselves." But while they were gone to buy oil, the bridegroom came. And then those who were ready went in with him to the marriage feast, and the door was locked. And later, when the other 5 bridesmaids returned, they stood outside calling, "Lord, Lord, open the door for us." But he called back, "Believe me, I don't know you. So you too must keep watch, for you do not know the day or the hour of my return." Let me just give you some thoughts on this. We all know this. We've all heard this if you've been in church for any time at all. First, we have to understand the wedding ceremony. In that culture, the bridegroom would come to pick up his bride. And that was the start of the wedding feast time. So a lot of times their marriages were in the morning. And then they continued to party for 3 days, 3 to 4 days, however long they had enough alcohol for. I mean, this was a serious deal. And of course they're falling asleep because, you know what? They've got 3 days of this to do. So there's it says that there's 2 different types of people here. Now, interestingly enough, this flies in the face of a lot of denominations' idea of once saved, always saved. Do you realize that? These were saved. They were ready to go to the wedding feast. These were people that were going to the wedding feast. All 10 of them were going to the wedding feast. They were dressed for it. They had the stuff for it. All 10 of them were going. But what's it say? 5 of them ran out of oil, and they didn't get to go to the wedding feast. Do we need to translate that? Do we understand that while you're a Christian, if you forget to keep yourself stocked up, to keep yourself flowing in the Holy Spirit. That you remember that holy thing that we've talked about, that holy part of God that we have stored upside in ourselves. If you don't remember to keep that stoked, you're not going to be ready. You're not going to be ready, and he's not going to recognize you, because the holy part of himself that he put in us is not going to be found. It's going to have gone out. This is a scary set of verses. If you're a believer in, hey, back there in 1978, I got saved and I'm good, it's good enough for the rest of my life. No. I was saved. I am saved. I'm being saved every day. We're working our salvation out with fear and trembling. It's a constant process. It's not just a process of being saved. It's a process of being transformed, as we talked about in previous weeks. It's a process of we should not be in the same place as when God saved us in 1978 as we are in 2026. We should be growing. Me and Carol had a conversation about this. I said it's incredible to me that when I started out, I was one place, but here at 44, which I don't like admitting, let me take a minute. Here at 44, I'm not where I was back when I got serious about God probably around 18, 19, somewhere around there. I'm not that same place. I've grown. I'm a different person. Now, do some of those old tendencies start to come up? Absolutely, 100%. But hopefully I'm winning that battle and telling those things, I don't play that anymore. You know how we do that? By keeping oil in the lamp. By worshiping in the storms. By making sure there's enough God in me to overcome the world that's coming at me. This story is true on so many levels because the people that Jesus told this to have passed on. They've met God or they've not met God. Do you understand that? The people that he originally told this story to have passed on. They didn't get to come in some grand ceremony, but the question was still, are they ready? The question today is to us still, are you ready? And it's because you have to constantly keep yourself ready. We have to keep the oil filled. We have to keep our wicks trimmed. I actually went and looked this up about how they do this, okay? And apparently lamps have not changed all that much in several centuries. Not just centuries, millennia. They've not changed that much. There was a source of oil. There's a piece of cloth that brings it up to the top, and then it burns on the top. And just like we do now, if we were to use I'm going to say a modern lamp, we have to trim the places that are burned off. Well, you know why? If we extend the comparison that we're making out further, it's the same way in our church, in our Christian life. The Holy Spirit, it starts things burning. The things that aren't of it start burning. And it has to be gotten rid of so that the fire can continue. Have you ever tried to light a fire on ashes? It's impossible. That's because it's already used up. But if we keep those ashes around, you ever seen hard ash surrounding something? It doesn't light. If we continue to let it be around there, but there could be good wood underneath that hard ash, and it won't light. But if we can get rid of that hard ash, we can relight that wood because that wood's not been burned. And it's in the same way that this is talking about. As your Holy Spirit that lives inside you, that peace of God that lives inside of you is there, it will start to get rid of the things that aren't of it. The string, that's not of the world. It starts getting rid of it. It starts burning it up. It starts to be consumed, but it's up to us to get rid of the dregs. Sometimes that means separating ourselves from things that are trying to keep us in the world. Ooh, now that's not a popular message. We don't know how these foolish virgins, they both should have used their lamps. If everybody was doing the same thing, they both should have used their lamps. We don't know if they weren't playing lamp tag. Any of y'all play flashlight tag when you're growing up? I may or may not have played it on the golf course in McLeansboro after hours, back when we didn't have security cameras. But you know what happens with flashlight tag? It uses up those batteries, and then you don't have them for when you need them beside the road and you're trying to work on your tire. You go, oh, let me grab this flashlight that Dad put in my glove box in case I ever have a flat beside the road, and let me go out and play it and turn it off and on hundreds of times in the course of a night. And then suddenly you're stranded beside the roadside and your flashlight goes out because you've used the battery up playing a stupid kid's game. And then your dad asks, well, didn't you have a flashlight? And you just kind of said, oh yeah, I think the batteries went bad or something. I don't know, But they ran their lamps out. And then it came time for when they needed them. The sole purpose that they were in the room waiting, came that time that they needed them, and they didn't have enough. They weren't ready. Their job is to bring the groom in to as he comes to get his bride. And traditionally, he would come and he'd put a ladder up against the side of the house, and he'd climb up and he would take her down and carry her into this wedding feast that they had planned. I feel like it's a good way to get hurt, but that's what they did. And the bridesmaids were supposed to light his way, so he was able to do it. And they weren't ready to do their job. And then they went into the wedding feast, and there was no room for them because they weren't ready. It calls to mind that other illustration where it said there was a guy there that wouldn't put on the clothes, and there was no place for him in the wedding feast. He wasn't ready. He didn't come ready like he was supposed to be, and so he wasn't allowed to come in. This is a common theme in Jesus' talkings. Let's keep going. One of the big things we need to take for this, the rest of that was all just for you. This is my big point. One of the big things that we're supposed to take for this, we don't know when it'll be. We still don't know when it'll be. They thought, every generation has thought it's going to be while they were being. But I do promise you this, it is coming. We don't know when it'll be. Guess what? Jesus knew that was going to come up. He specifically said this. He didn't even put this in a parable. He said it specifically. Go on. We turn to Matthew. When the Son of Man returns, it will be like it was in Noah's day. In those days before the flood, the people were enjoying banquets and parties and weddings right up to the time Noah entered his boat. And in other words, they were going about their lives as normal. Everything was normal. There was no indicators. And then Noah went in the boat. And it said, if you remember your Genesis, that the rain started right after, as they shut the door, and it was sealed by God. People didn't realize what was going to happen until the flood came and swept them all away. And that is the way it will be when the Son of Man comes. Keep going. 2 men will be working together in the field. One will be taken, the other is going to be left. 2 women will be grinding flour at the mill. One will be taken and the other will be left. Keep going. So you too must keep watch, for you don't know what day your Lord is coming. Understand this, if a homeowner knew exactly when a burglar was coming, he would keep watch and not permit his house to be broken into. You also must be ready all the time, for the Son of Man will come when least expected. We're not going to know. The bridegroom came when the foolish bridesmaids didn't know when he was going to come. They hit about 1 o'clock and they said, "Oh my goodness, let me go find some oil." And they ran to go get some. And while they were going to get oil, he came. Their sole job missed. They missed the time to go into the wedding. And once they were in the wedding, to keep wedding crashers out, they locked the doors. And they missed it. They weren't ready. They were supposed to go. They had every intention to go. They had pledged their lives to be able to go. Do you hear what I'm saying? They had said that we support the bridegroom taking our friend. We support Jesus when he comes back for our church. But they weren't ready. And it happened when they least expected it. They're like, oh, he'll probably come around 2 or 3. We should have an hour to go get it. But it wasn't. It happened while they were gone. Did they know that there was going to be a wedding? Absolutely. They had every chance to. We know this because the wise bridesmaids knew to bring extra oil. So they knew to get more oil, and yet the foolish ones didn't. Let's keep going. No, there should be a slide in between this. Sorry about that. I must have got these out of order. Give me the second point. Jesse, there should be a second point slide. Oh no. I somehow deleted the second point slide. The second point slide is the ones that are going will be rewarded. That's the number one. The ones that are going will be rewarded. They're going to get rewarded for doing their job. We want to look at one of my favorite characters in the Bible. Him and Nehemiah were my two favorite characters in the entire Bible is these two guys, Caleb and Nehemiah. And we look at this. This is God speaking directly to Moses. God spoke to Moses in the tent. And he said, when the Lord heard you complaining, he became very angry. So he solemnly swore, not one of you from this wicked generation will live to see the good land I swore to give your ancestors. He's speaking to all the people that came out of Egypt. Except for Caleb, son of Jephunneh. He will see this land because he has followed the Lord completely. I will give to him and his descendants some of the very land he explored during his scouting mission. And you know what? The Bible is so good because it tells us exactly when they got done fighting to take what is now Israel. It said that Caleb looked at Joshua and he said, I have fought for you and I have fought everything that I need to do. He said, I've been promised, I saw those mountains when I came in here over 42 years ago. I saw these mountains. And he said, let me go up into those mountains and take them from the giants that are up there. He said, I'm just as strong as I was when I was 40. He said, let me go up into my mountains that God has promised me, and I will take them. He said, give me my promise. Give me what was promised by God, who singled me out and said that I would be able to go, I would continue on in this generation. He was rewarded. He was rewarded because he kept following the Lord. The Lord said this. He spoke this to Moses, who isn't going into the land. And he tells him this in the next verse. He tells Moses, you're not going into the land. You got angry. But he said, but Caleb is. Caleb followed me the entire way. Caleb's going. Because Caleb was faithful. He never quit following from Egypt to the 40 years in the desert to the time when Joshua got ready to cross that Red Sea. And they're just waiting for Moses to go on up on the other side, even though they didn't know that. They're just waiting for Moses to go on up. And Moses says that only Caleb will get to go of that generation. And Joshua son of Nun, who's going to lead them. Caleb was faithful. he would be counted in the wise bridesmaids if he would have lived on, because he kept the faith. He knew that the bridegroom was coming. And he knew there would come a day when he would be rewarded for continuing in what the Lord had called him to. Let's keep going. In 2 Timothy 4, 6 through 8, we see another one who had to live through all kinds of tragedy, and he documented all the different things that had happened to him. We don't know what happened to Caleb in the form of what he went through specifically. We know what happened to the Israelites, but we do know what happened to Paul, because he documented everything that went through him. In fact, we talked before, in one place, he talked about how he had been stoned and beaten and his feet flinched. And it would meaning they took all the skin off the bottoms of his feet. And he said, I'm still here. I still count it all glory for Jesus. And here in one of his last letters that we know of, he's speaking to Timothy. And he said, as for me, my life has already been poured out as an offering to God. The time of my death is near. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race, and I have remained faithful. And now the prize awaits me, the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give me on the day of his return. And the prize is not just for me, but for all who eagerly look forward to his appearing. He says, Timothy, I'm getting close. I'm getting close to going into the wedding feast. I'm getting close to finishing this, and I'm going to finish well. He said, because I have done everything I know to do. I've done everything I possibly can to further this Jesus who came and died for me, by taking him to every place I could. By being in prison and still continuing to write to people while I'm in prison so they might be uplifted even though I am being kept. He said, I'm keep going. I'm going to keep going. As our worship team comes up, I want you to think about that. Say, do you have your oil? Do you have your oil ready?